What are the various types of speakers available in the market, and what is the real honest comparison between all of these? Hello everyone, I am Tanmay Mehta, your home technology consultant at Touchwood Automations, and today we are going to talk about all the things or all the types of speakers that are there in the market, and what sort of speakers are suitable for what sort of environment, and what should you expect from the speakers when you invest your hard-earned money into these particular products. So before I begin, I want to remind all of you to subscribe to our channel right here, right now, because your subscription encourages us in our mission to help you all make better, right, and well-informed decisions when it comes to buying anything and everything related to home technology industry. So the very first speaker that we are going to talk about is a satellite speaker. So these kind of satellite speakers are the most cheapest, the most affordable speakers that one can invest for a basic home cinema setup. Now these satellite speakers are designed to serve to an area from around 100 square feet to maximum around 200 square feet. So if your area lies in this particular calculations or in this particular measurement, you can probably save your money by investing in these kind of small satellite speakers. Now another drawback or another disadvantage of a small satellite speaker, obviously apart from that they can be used for a larger area, is that these speakers have very less low frequency response. Now what I mean by low frequency response is that if you see these speakers, they have a very small tweeter and a very small mid-range driver. Now each sound that comes out from a speaker comes out in a form of a frequency range. So you have got the low frequency, which is nothing but the bass, which is generally from around 20 Hertz to around 250 Hertz. Then you have got a mid frequency or a mid range that we call. So that is basically from 250 Hertz to around 2 kilohertz. So this is primarily the vocal, the dialogues that you listen. And then you have the high frequency sound, which we also claim to be as a treble, a tweeter sound. So that basically which comes out from tweeter is a high frequency sound, and that starts from 2 kilohertz and can go up to 20 to 30 kilohertz. Now for a human ear, your average hearing capacity or frequency range starts from 20 hertz and ends at 20 kilohertz, and this is primarily there in small babies or infants. As and how your age progresses, the frequency range starts reducing, which means that even if you buy a 20 hertz frequency response speakers, you are not going to able to hear that sound, because probably as you age you will start listening to a frequency range which becomes 60 hertz to let's say 18 kilohertz, or as you progress again it goes from 100 hertz to 15 kilohertz kind of frequency range. But does it really matter when you have to look for? Yes, it does. And apart from frequency, what all the other things that you need to consider is what we are going to talk about in our next video. Now coming back to this particular speaker, as I said, this speaker has got a very small tweeter and a mid-range driver, which is again very small. So generally for all the satellite speakers, you have got hardly an inch or 1.5 inch tweeters and around 3-4 inches mid-range drivers. So that is where these kind of speakers don't really give that kind of bass which you expect from a speaker, and they have to rely a lot on a woofer to do that particular job of producing the low frequency sound waves. Now these satellite speakers, as I said, are a good win with your TVs. They may not be the ideal choice of speakers for your projector, but for TV, yes, you can surely consider this for an area from around 100 square feet to around 200 square feet. Now after satellite, what is the next range of speaker? Well, there are 3 different options that you can go for after the satellite speakers. One is the on-wall speaker. So these kind of on-wall speakers, which are around 4 inches in depth, so they look pretty classy next to your TVs. They are quite big enough. So as you can see, for instance, in this particular speaker, you have got multiple drivers, one tweeter and probably couple of bass drivers as well. So these kind of speakers are there which can be used in a front, center, right or surrounds application, and these are called as on-wall speakers. Now as I said, if you are buying let's say a 55-65 inches TV or anything beyond 55, these kind of speakers look very neat right next to the TV, and generally when you wall mount a TV, the depth from that particular wall would be around 3-4 inches, and that's the exact depth of these kind of speakers as well. So this is one option. Again, the frequency response is great, the bass is great because you've got multiple drivers doing that job. Apart from this, A similar combination but not in on wall, what you get is something called as an in-wall speaker. Now in-wall speakers, as you are aware of in-ceiling speakers, the one which we see in a lot of malls or public places in the ceiling. So those are in-ceiling speakers like these probably. So what you see is just this particular grill when it's flush to the false ceiling. So similarly, there are in-wall speakers also available. So this particular part comes outside and rest of this box goes inside your plywood cabinets or in your ceiling or whatever treatment you give to your walls. So this again is around 4 inches in depth. These are again good speakers if you want to really hide everything and do not want to protrude anything out from the wall. These speakers come with grills, and these grills are paintable. So which means that, let's say if you are doing a veneer finish or some sort of wooden finish, you can paint the same color on the grill of the speakers, and they can actually merge with your wall paneling and all the sort of coverings that you have. So this in-wall speaker is again one step above your satellite speakers, and this has again got a good tweeter, this has got a good mid-range driver. Probably for certain in-walls, if they don't have multiple of drivers, they would lack in terms of bass, but again the woofer does that job for them too. So this is about the in-wall. The third speaker in the same category is your bookshelf speakers. Now the reason why bookshelf speakers were used earlier, they were more of an audiophile speakers. So let's say if you're doing a budgetary 2-channel stereo system, I think bookshelf is something that you can go for. The reason being that the volume that they carry inside, so higher volume generates a better output. Now these speakers again have got a big driver, big tweeter, and that is where it can produce a larger output compared to a satellite speaker. And all these three speakers, that is your on-wall, in-wall and the bookshelf, would lie in the same category of sound compared to a satellite. So they are one step above the satellite speakers. Now finally, apart from these three speakers, we have got a big speaker over here which we refer to as a floor standing speaker, a tower speaker, or I don't know, floor standing. Yeah, I think floor standing and tower speakers are the right words for these kind of speakers. So these speakers are super huge. They consume your floor space because they have to be ideally kept on your floors, and they have multiple drivers which are used, like they are starting from 5 inches or 6 inches of diameter, then they have big tweeters, they have multiple of those again, and these speakers can really produce a lot of power that is required for a home cinema system. But for these speakers, as I said, you have to compromise your floor space. So if at all you are willing to let go of that, these are a good sounding speakers. Another drawback of this is they have got a limitation of height, because they'll be around 2.5 to 3 feet in their height, which means that when you sit at a distance of 15-16 feet, they come to your ear level. But if you have multiple rows and you're making good platforms or steps wherein you want to plan for a home cinema system, then these speakers can't be kept on the floor. You need to keep them above a height of at least 18 inches so that they can cover the sound to the entire room and not just for the first or the second row. So these are the various varieties of speakers that we covered today. As I said, in our next video, we are going to talk about 5 things that you have to look out for when you have to select between any speaker. Like for instance, even in satellite, you will come across 5 different brands of speakers in satellite speakers as well. Even in in-wall, on-wall, floor standing, in each category of the speakers that we just mentioned, you will come across various varieties of speakers. And when you have to identify that, okay, what sort of speaker should I invest your money, then we are going to tell you that these are the 5 things that you have to look out for when you have to select a speaker. And if you want to watch that video, make sure that you subscribe and turn on the notification right now, because that is going to be a great video that you will always cherish when you make a decision to buy any sort of home cinema equipment. Now before I leave, as I said, the different environments that you have to plan for these kind of speakers. So once again, satellite is meant for your living room TV kind of application. Your on-wall, in-wall bookshelf speakers are good speakers again for your living room areas or for your theater rooms as well, which are around 150 to 250, 300 square feet. These in-wall speakers are a great investment. These are also called as custom install. So CI basically is the short form for it. And these speakers are used when you want to create a cinema room which has got no speakers seen, but what you see is only the projector. So that is where you can again plan for these kind of in-wall or on-wall speakers. And the last but not the least, your floor standing speaker, again a great product for your media room, theater room. And let's say if you're doing a good fireplace kind of setting or a library kind of setting, and you're okay to have a good 2-channel music, then I think floor standing should be the ones that you can consider. Again, for a living room setup wherein people who love flaunting their sound system, you don't want to consider any of these small speakers. You might have to consider a good floor standing speaker to do that job for you. So floor standing speaker does come with good advantages as well. At times I have seen many people eliminate a woofer because the speaker itself gives good amount of bass, especially in a 2-channel stereo setup. But for home theater as well, these speakers are fantastic and they can do a good justice to the sound delivery that you would expect from a good 5.1 or a 7.1 channel sound system. So that's it from my end, guys. I, Tanmay Mehta, your home technology consultant, will see you in my next video. But before you do that, make sure that you liked this particular video, and if at all you have found this information valuable, don't forget to share our video. Thank you.